everybody. Welcome to the Integrate This EdTech podcast. I'm David Berner, joined by my co-host, Jeremy Mikla. And today we have joining us too, I have a colleague of mine at SWWC, Heather Anderson, who is our Curriculum Instruction and Assessment Coordinator. And as part of our NotebookLM series, I had been talking with Heather about some of the things that I've been doing with AI, and she was giving me some ideas and things like that. So I thought it'd be awesome to bring Heather on and just have her show some of the things that she's doing. And that's what we're doing for this episode. So welcome, Heather. Happy to have you here and excited to see what you show us.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited. Ever since you guys taught me about NotebookLM, I've been working on how we can use this in our classrooms with all of our staff. And so here's a couple ideas that I've been coming up with. With NotebookLM, currently, how I see it being used is you can use it for an entire unit, actually. There's so many features on this that you can just use throughout the unit. And so that's what I want to focus on. But I did pull up a specific lesson here on atomic theory to use kind of as my example. And so what staff are able to do is really they can go through and they can upload the PDF version of their curriculum or of their textbook that they have. And you can put it in your document on the left-hand side, and then that is used as its guide for whatever it is that you want to create throughout your lesson. So the first tool that I really wanted us to look at is the video overview. And I see the video overview being used. It can be used throughout the entire lesson, but it can take all of the pages of your lesson, of that content that you're going to be teaching them, and it can put it into a video format. And so it's a really great great tool for front loading the information that students are going to be running into. You could have put it on Google Classroom and have them watch it as an assignment prior to class. So then they come and they know what they're going to be working on for this next unit. You could even use it, create a video at the end of the test or at the end of the text when you get done with the lesson as kind of a refresher, a summary of everything that they learned in preparation for the assessment that will come at the end of the unit. I can even see it being used for an end of the week lesson, like a wrap up. So here's everything we did in science this week. So just they could watch it on a Friday before they wrap up the day, wrap up the week, or you could play it on Monday before you start the week off as a reminder of here's everything we did last week. So let's get ready for this week's learning and where we're going to go this week. The video overview, what's also really nice about that, one, it's good for your visual learners, but also it's great for your multilingual students because it has an option. It has 50 languages that you can choose to have the video played in. So that's another option so that all of your students can start off with the same content and same understanding. The audio overview is really kind of neat. When you go through there's a lot of different options, but this comes off as more of a podcast for students. And so this is great for your auditory learners. You can use this much of the same way as you do your video. You could do this at the very start of the unit where it gives you kind of you can do a brief overview of everything that you're going to be learning within that unit. You can use it as a summary as well at the end. Okay. The deep dive option is great for your students if there's certain parts of the content that you know are going to be difficult for them to understand. You can click this deep dive feature and ask it to specifically focus on whatever it is that you think they're going to struggle. So in terms of the atomic theory models, maybe I think that they're going to get lost in the various models and keeping the scientists straight with their specific model. So that's what I want this audio version of it to focus its explanation on. I can also tell it that I want it to be like needs to be for a 8th grade student, or if I have students that are really struggling with the concept, maybe I want it to be, can you explain this at maybe a 6th grade level so that they can understand what it is that the text was trying to share with them. So the debate option is a fun one for students as well, and for the teachers to use. You can tell the hosts, because it comes off as a podcast, tell which host is going to be on which side of the debate. So if you're using it in social studies, maybe you're talking about an invention, and you're asking the host to really debate the usefulness of that invention, or to compare and contrast different inventions during that time period. Students could listen to that, and then students could write a paragraph based off of what they heard. Which side of the debate would they be on? So you can turn that into a writing product as well. The next tool that I wanted to look at is the mind map. And what's really neat is that this works really well with your visual learners. And it's an interactive map that students are able to use. So you can use this in a few different ways. Teachers, you could put the map up on the board. It's based on the reading and the content that you had supplied it with. But you could have this on the board, and maybe you just got through the development of atomic theory. That's the only part that you were able to get through for that day. So at the end, just kind of walking through it. Okay, guys, what did we learn? Okay, these were the 2 pieces that we learned. And it's just a great visual for the students really to break down what it is that they went through. And then the next day when they come in and they work through the content more with their teacher, then they can go ahead and then they can add to their mind map that they've created here. Another way that students are able to use the mind map, teachers are able to use it with them, is really you could take the words off of the mind map, give the students a blank one or partially filled in one, and use that as a graphic organizer as they go through their reading. So students are able, as they're sitting at their desk, they're able to read and then fill out their map as they go along, work with a partner, compare their maps together. And that is a great study tool as well. The reports, this is a really great feature. It's a very deep feature. There's so much that you can do with this feature here. So something that I've been using it for is to create the study guides. So this is great for students. Tell it what you want the questions to look like, and then it will help create a study guide for students to prep for their test. This concept explainer, this is where I would ask I would put in my prompt that I would want the content to be at a different grade level than it was probably written. So if I have students that are reading 2 grade levels below, then I would explain that and ask it to focus on these particular pieces of the content, and just have it explain it in a way that my students can all understand and be on the same page as we move through the rest of the unit. This create your own is a really cool option as well. And so with the create your own, what you could do if you're focusing on atomic theory and you want to focus specifically on, you want to spend a little bit more time digging into the scientists and their individual theories, but you feel like maybe the book did not go into as much depth as you were hoping it would. So there is a discover tab. I'm going to get out of this part here too. And there is a discover tab, and then you can have it search the web or search in Google Drive. Maybe you already have some content out there where it's explaining the scientists and their theories. But if you need to search the web, then you can type it in here exactly what you're looking for. And then you submit it and several options will come up. And so I'm going to switch my screen here, and it can find up to 50 sources it can put into here, but then you just go through and you really vet the materials that they're suggesting. And let's say these 11 are the ones that I felt that I wanted, that were going to be good and had some good content in it. I could then go to my report tab, and under here I could just say, can you compile all of this? Because I don't want my students reading 11 different sources. It's going to be a lot. I'm not going to be able to get them through it. Not all the sources have everything I need. So I'd go here and just say, to use my 11 sources, I would like an article focused on the scientists, their theories. I would like it to be about 500 words. It will create that. It will put all that information I was really needing my students to have into one document for them. And I can easily just put that into Google Classroom for them to use and to read off of.
And that's awesome too, because you have, like, prior it was just we're like uploading a lot of our own sources, and now you can mix the two together where you can search out sources and it'll pull things in that maybe you didn't think of or realize were out there. And so that combination is really cool too.
So yes, and it allows you to save a lot of time instead of going and searching all on your own. It really helps, because if you're direct with the prompt that you're giving it, then you can really directly see the materials that you are find the materials that you've been looking for. So that is really neat to have that discover option up here as well. Your flashcard option. This is, I believe the flashcard and the quiz is fairly new in here. I'm going to jump to my other screen here, but the flashcards that I was creating with when I'm specifically looking at atoms, what's nice about it is that it is interactive. Students, I can tell it also which types of questions I want it to focus on. If I want it on concepts, if I specifically want it on vocabulary, I can, you can be as specific as you want within your prompt when you're writing it, but you can provide your answer, and then it goes ahead and it will explain that answer if you're not quite understanding that. And what's really neat within the explanation too, it will help lead you to maybe a little bit further information than what you already had. And it will also bring you back to where in the book you can find that information as needed. The flashcards, then you could easily put that into Google Classroom and students would be able to pull that up as a nice little review activity. You could use it as a speed activity, as a matching game, and then use it also for concept mapping if you had them printed off and you wanted just to manipulate them on your desk. The quiz, I see this being used in a couple different ways. So again, you can, be as specific as you want. What type of quizzes are you wanting? Are you wanting, so I usually put in, I want multiple choice, and then I wanted it focused on the various theories. So I have 4 quizzes that I've made up here. But what's neat about this is it is instantaneous. Once you give the answer, once you select your answer, it will give you the correct answer. And it will explain why that is the correct answer, why it is what it is. And then you can go ahead and you can hit the explain button again. And then here's the explanation along with the page in the book that it would be related to. And you can go on to the next question. Now, what's really kind of neat, let's say you want to use this. Okay, this you're going to use as just a quick formative assessment. Okay, kids, I want to see where we're at. You could even ask it to create a couple bell ringers at the start of class, put that on Google Classroom, have them answer it. You can see where they're at with their understanding from the day before or where you're going to be going, what's their background knowledge of what you're getting into. So great bell ringer, great exit ticket when you're leaving. Also, what you could be doing too, let's say that when you're creating this, you are, if your school-wide goal, because so many schools, you have your school-wide goal, and if reading is your focus and you know that your students in your school are struggling with, maybe they're struggling with fact and opinion questions and they're struggling with compare and contrast. Okay, well, as a science teacher, I want to be able to help my students. I want them to understand those strategies, those skills of reading. So then I can just type into my prompt that is what I want my questions to be focused on, cause and effect, or I want them to be focused on main idea as they're working through. So I also am helping build those reading skills within my students. So I still have science questions, but they're going to be focused specifically on using those reading skills to determine the answer. So those are just kind of some of the things that I found within NotebookLM that I think my teachers could use. And this is something that we're hoping to get started right away within our classrooms.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing it. The coolest thing about it, I think, is that it shows how you can focus really on one unit. And so for your example, spending time on that one unit and showing the variety of different sources that any teacher could go and apply it to a lesson in their unit or an entire unit. All of that is really helpful. And I hope some teachers that are watching can get some ideas from that. And again, thanks for sharing with us and taking the time to show what you've done so far.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, guys.